Good morning and welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk. Stop laughing at me, Adam. Cut it out.
This is going to be a great YouTube video to see here.
Yes.
Make sure you smash the like and subscribe. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, welcoming you to Tampa Home Talk while we get situated here in the studio, located in the Land O'Lakes.
I thought we were at Lutz.
We're Lutz, south side of the road.
Look at me.
Yeah, south side of the road is Lutz.
So we're in Hillsborough County then?
Nope, we're in Pasco.
Okay.
It gets all weird, especially as you go that way.
It's very weird.
It does get weird that way
in Pasco County. Yes, definitely would agree with that.
All right, today's show is the top 7 things to do before you sell your home, and of course, we're going to go over the weekly numbers, tell you how the market is performing, and then we'll dive right in.
Did we have that bounce back week that we were talking about?
No.
Happy fall, y'all.
Yeah, fall is in
Labor Day. After Labor Day.
Fall isn't the way to describe the real estate market right now. What gives?
All right, so let's talk about it. So the number of new listings coming in this week is at 808. Do you remember last week? Do you have it memorized?
It was lower. It was
like
substantially. It was in the
I thought.
600s. Yeah. That's not what I'm looking at as far as the real estate market collapse.
So 808 is coming in for new listings. The number of sold listings coming in at a sharp 674.
I would say that's more like
Looking at?
mild. I wouldn't say that's sharp. I would say like that's slightly dull.
What about the almost 900 price decreases? Is that what you're looking at?
No, that's not also what I'm looking at.
Okay,
But
but that's pretty high too.
Considering price decreases are higher than new listings, our market has turned.
Yeah. Well, and the number of pendings coming in at 662.
That's it.
Higher
That's it. That's the one. So we have 808 new listings. Typically, we've been seeing pendings higher than the new listings. However, not only are they lower, they're 25% lower than new listings.
I love how he did the quick math in his head. I love it.
25%. So we have price decreases greater than the new listings. So for every price on the property, there's a price of a property being decreased. And then they're not even disappearing off the market. Is this all interest rates? What gives? What gives?
It has to be because we're in the 7s. I mean, I've seen some stuff pop that's in 8s, and then if it's an investment property, it's higher than that. So, yeah, I think the rates are definitely finally showing up and having an impact. But that's okay. I mean, we've been in an extreme seller's market for a long, long time. We're just going into a normal market, which is a balanced market. Now, without looking at any economic factors, that could swing the pendulum the other way, we're definitely moving towards a balanced market. We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
What are some of the factors other than interest rates that could swing that pendulum?
Well, one of the things right around the corner is student loans are about ready to start repayment. I think that's going to have a huge impact on the economy.
I thought I had an absolution, and I got my little wafer cookie, and I got a forgiveness on that.
I don't think that's happening.
Wait, no more forgiveness?
Is there something that I don't know about that you guys do?
I don't follow the
they're going
news.
to be repaying.
I don't have any student loan debt, so I don't pay attention to
I haven't had student loan debt in a while, but
I haven't either. I paid off all mine on my own many, many moons ago. But
that's the worst kind of debt because you're your own collateral.
Yeah, exactly. Life insurance on yourself or what?
Oh.
You're a broke college kid, like right out of school. You can afford life insurance.
He needs to move back into his, or she needs, or they, them needs to move back into their house.
Parents' house, you mean?
Parents' house.
Yeah, that's what you meant. That's what I thought.
Speaking of which, I do have a lawyer joke on hand.
So I think so to answer your question, I think the student loans are part of it, and I think the second part of it is the rising interest rates affects car payments and all those sorts of things. Everything costs more money, so people can't save like they could. So it's all of those things. Once you start seeing job numbers move, that's when the economy is going to start to shift. So.
Yeah, but you would think that it would be affecting the car industry, but at insert random name here, insert random car maker here, they're still doing 0% financing.
Because they want to get rid of those cars.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Or they probably bought a block of money at that lower rate so they can relend them, and it's built into the price that they're selling them for.
Can I move into that block of money?
You do it. Go.
How do I move into a block of money?
You know what I mean? They bought, the same thing happened to me with the house I bought. That lender bought a block of money at a lower interest rate.
Oh, that's kind of what Southwest Airlines did back in the collapse. They bought fuel in advance, so when fuel prices spiked, they could still do cheap flights for a while.
Yeah, very similar concept. You're right. Mm-hmm. All right, what's your attorney joke?
The moment's passed. I'll have to squeeze it in later.
Oh, okay.
The moment has passed.
All right, so let's talk about...
Real quick, while we're still talking about maybe the shifting market, do you think insurance rates are affecting that at all with how high it is?
And everything is more expensive, including insurance.
Everything. If it's now $300 a month for insurance instead of $200 a month, how much more does that shift your
I would
your
love
price?
$300 a month in insurance.
I mean, I can't even look at it. It's so bad. I need to adjust my auto payment because I keep getting a notice that's saying they're going to cancel me because everything's on auto pay. And I'm like, yeah, my insurance went up. I need to change that and stop just making a random payment. I have the auto pays, but it's not enough. I got to change it. I don't want to look at it.
You should look into it.
I don't want to look at it.
I did find you were one of the 3 people this entire of 2023 that I was able to find a lower rate for on a commercial policy too. So that's.
Let me tell you something. I don't remember how much it was last year, but that renewal you sent me, it was not that.
Yes, but the other quote though, real nice.
Lower?
Yeah.
Than last year?
Way lower.
I don't remember those things.
It was
they don't say.
44 to 29.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me an insurance quote on the building going over $5,000 a year. I'm what? No, you can have this back. I'm not taking this.
I've sent you the quote.
No, the new one was good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is, but it was good.
So the key takeaway from last week we saw the starting of the turn. This week we are fully seeing a turn in the market. So,
and we'll watch it. I mean, it's 2 weeks, right? We're going to continue to watch these numbers.
Aren't you supposed to be wearing black after Labor Day?
Well, I've got dark purple on. That counts.
Well, this is us mourning the real estate market.
Dark purple.
Dark purple counts.
It's not all doom and gloom. We are still in a seller's market.
We're also getting into the fall, like you said when you came in, and we just got past the summer push, right? With people trying to switch before school year and everything else.
I think honestly, you're not going to be able to tell which way the market's heading, or if it's going to stay a slow, steady until going into the first part of next year. First quarter will tell a lot. I think we're going to trail down.
We're calling it. There's more price decreases than new listings. That's not a seller's market.
Not disagreeing with that. It still is. You got to look at the absorption rate. We're still under a 3-month supply of homes.
We don't talk about absorption rate every week, though.
We need to talk about it again. So I'll tell you what, the Florida Realtors numbers will be out around the 22nd in that neighborhood. So whatever show that is, we'll talk about the numbers.
Which neighborhood will we be talking about?
What?
You said in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood of time.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a zip code, like a Hyde Park
neighborhood of time,
or Kenwood. I want to move into. I want to move into a block of money within the neighborhood of time. That sounds like a great place to find real estate.
Okay, so let me just specify this for you. Around September 22nd is when we will talk about the absorption rate. We'll look at Florida Realtors data.
But it's going to be old.
Well, I can't help that. I can pull some more recent data.
I want September. September is the turning point. Remember last July when we called?
Manually make me count it.
Sure. Remember when we talked last July about a market turn and we nailed it right on?
Oh, we talked about it before then.
July 18th was the turning point in a market. Well, we have another one right here that happened last week.
I think so too.
Yes, we're calling it first.
In the numbers.
We're calling it first. That's why these people listen into our first segment.
Well, I mean, if you listen to our show, you'll have a very good indicator which way the market's going. And we're pretty spot on. I mean, all of our stuff's recorded. It goes on YouTube. It goes to a podcast. So you have me on record last year, was it last year or early this year, saying that rates will be 7-8% by the end of the year. Do you remember that?
I do. And if you listen to our show, you'll also have an icebreaker given to you every week by Leo Kane. Speaking of which, what do you call an alligator in a suit?
Mr. Crocodile.
An investigator.
Nice. Nice work, Leo. Nice dad joke.
An investigator. Okay.
Yes, it's the lawyer joke. Because it's an alligator. We lost all 12 of our 12 listeners.
I'm sorry,
no.
guys. We'll make it better. All right, 7 things to do before you sell.
Thanks for listening, Mom.
So, we're talking about the price decreases, right? 874 price decreases, while 808 new listings come on the market, and only 662 sold in a 7-day trend. What are 7 things you can do to make sure that your home sells? And we're going to talk about that when we come back right after the break. If you'd like to get a market valuation of your home, you can text the word value to 813-377-2775. If you're thinking about selling, that's on the fence, you're preparing to sell late this year, next year, early next year, Call or text 813-377-2775, the word value, and we'll give you all these tips and more. We'll do a room-by-room review to let you know what you can do to help your home show like a model and be less time on the market than your competition. Text the word value to 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775. Stick around. When we come back, we'll talk about the top 7 things you can do before you sell your home. It'll be valuable. Stick around. A lot to talk about. This is Tampa Home Talk. Back in a moment.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection, bringing you your tropic update of the week.
Oh, we're going here?
Well, there's nothing to worry about in the next 7 days.
That one storm stayed out in the...
Well, it's not going to hit us.
But it stayed in the Atlantic, or is it still going to Cape Cod?
I'm not really following it.
Oh, okay.
Because it was north of Cuba. It was too strong north of Cuba, so...
It looks like it's going to just go...
Yeah, we're going to have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, stay in the Atlantic. If it hits anybody, it'll be...
So the key here is Florida is safe
for once
from storms. It's not safe from a lot of other things, but from storms, you're safe for the next 7 days.
Like your insurance rates, but
your insurance rates, your ability to sell your home, that's not safe. If you're pro Disney right now, that's not safe. And if you like watching new content on TV, that's still not safe.
Oh my gosh.
But what you do have as far as being safe is from storms for the next 7 days.
All right, let's talk about the top 7 things to do before you sell your home. Don't launch it on the market if you haven't done these things.
I better be step number 1.
You are step number 1. This is really, in my opinion, that's why I made it number 1. It is the most important thing you can do when you're selling your home. And the age factor on this, I believe, is 20 years or more, right? You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But get a 4-point inspection and then have all those insurance items, everything on the 4-point that's wrong or failing or not good, have that repaired by a licensed pro. So can you guys talk about the 4-point, like at what point do you need it and what stuff are we finding on there? Because this is the most important thing.
So you want to go ahead, Adam, tell us when you would need a 4-point inspection?
So I need it before I need a clean one before we bind.
No. Like if my house is 2 years old, I don't need a 4-point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 20 years or older.
So the home it built 20 years. This is 2023.
2003 or older.
So if you were built in 2003 or older, get a 4-point inspection from a company like Beryl.
Unless you have a roof that's 15 years or older, and then you need a roof certification, which is a piece of the 4-point.
Well, it's a wind mitigation, and yes.
No, it's not a wind. Two separate things.
Different?
Wind mitigation gets you discounts on your homeowner's insurance.
Correct.
A roof certification prevents you from getting insurance.
So you wouldn't necessarily need the roof cert, like the 4-point would satiate that request.
Yes.
But if you're, say, the roof cert comes into play if you're not necessarily selling the house, which is what we're talking about, but if you are already insured and then that carrier comes back and says, hey, your roof is too old, that's where you need the roof cert that says you have 5 more years left.
So that 15-year mark is when you're going to have to start looking at some stuff, and probably really more than that if you're selling your house. If we're being honest, if your roof is probably over 12 or 13 years, buyers are going to look at that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most people these days, when it comes, most people, Citizens is the most affordable for most homes these days.
Until they get their 40% increase next year.
Until they get that increase. Well, even with the increase, I mean, some Citizens is like half of a lot of the other backup options that we have.
All those things are going to play a part in our insurance market.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those things are going to play a part in these price decreases and the number of pendings bottoming out.
So Citizens doesn't have an age limit for roofs, but it does need to have 5 years left. So that's kind of the caveat there.
Which is up from 3.
And they're only giving you, 15? Or no, it just depends on the certification, I guess.
Just depends on the quality of the roof. Now, the other thing with Citizens is they are, you have to have the roof permit. So let's say it's an unpermitted roof.
Yeah, there's none of that monkey business going on now.
No. Well, you can, but you have to submit it unbound. And the last one I submitted unbound for approval took 2.5 weeks to get approved.
Wow.
By underwriting.
Unbound.
So I mean, if you have a 4-week contract from the time you sign it to close, you better start working on that insurance like that first week, because if you don't get it going, and that's going to be impossible with your lender, they're not going to have a loan number or anything for you yet. So you're really kind of screwing yourself.
Yeah, if you're almost 15 years old or older, seriously consider having an inspection done on it. I think really even anything more than 10. If you've been in your home, especially for 10 years or more, you probably got some stuff on there. It's going to fail a 4-point. So what else goes on that inspection?
So the 4-point is basically going to be the 4 main parts of the house the insurance company can't see from the outside. We're talking about roof because they want to know about leaks, attic condition, staining on the ceilings. They want to know about your electrical, your mechanical, which is your HVAC, and your plumbing. So with the HVAC, they want to know the unit is of a certain age. They want to know the condenser and the air handler are of the same age. They want to make sure that it's in good working order. It produces heat. They don't really care if it's cold. It just wants to produce heat. We care if it's producing cold because that would be a defect. They want to know the last time it's been serviced. You're supposed to service these things every 6 months. For electrical, they're going to want you to take the electrical panel cover off. We want to make sure there's no single-strand aluminum wiring. We're going to be using outlet testers. Make sure that your outlet's near water. Those pop when we hit the tester button, so those won't electrocute you when you're making Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to want to make sure that there's no single-strand aluminum, as I said before.
No double taps.
No double taps in the breaker box. Open sockets, open grounds, neutral, hot neutral over all the fun lights.
And electrical wiring.
Basically, yes. if your dad or uncle came over to help you with something, I know you can't see the air quotes on the people on the radio, but to help you with something,
you probably
are going to need an electrician to come unhelp what they did.
And then the last category is plumbing. They want to make sure everything has a supply valve, which means that if your toilet is running, you can turn off the toilet from the toilet. They're going to want to make sure that there's no polybutylene piping, which is a crumbly, not plastic, not copper, not usable piping.
Brittle.
It's very brittle.
And old PEX. New PEX is like the way to go, apparently, but like PEX before 2000, I can't remember the date, but there's something that says PEX. I think it might be 07 or something.
Great. So old
PEX.
Old PEX. So old PEX and polybutylene. So they don't want to see those. Want to make sure there's no leaks. They want pictures, a lot of pictures of plumbing. They are most concerned about water loss. So any leaks can do that. We're looking at all the showers, the tubs, the sinks, the water heater.
The TPR valve on the water heater seems to be one of the other big, that and the electrical panel, like two biggest bugaboos outside of the roof.
Because they want to make sure that your hot water heater doesn't go through your roof.
Yeah, but the TPR valves is one of the biggest jokes out there because they're looking for that extension. So it's a 60 to 70 cent piece of PVC you pick up at the Depot Lowe's, and you just can attach it real quick. But apparently that makes the difference between your water heater exploding and your water heater just shooting up through the roof.
So, and here's the key too. So we're talking about things you'll want to do before you do
Correct.
Things.
Right.
That's why getting a 4-point first is helpful, because let's say you're the buyer, right? And you send me a 4-point. Well, we either are going to need a new 4-point after you make all those changes, or we're going to need the paid invoice and the pictures from a licensed contractor. So if it's something like this that's a 70-cent piece, instead of like, okay, now it's a buyer, and now the buyer's going to tell you, well, I'd want an actual plumber to come out and do this, not you. If it's something like that that's minor, that you probably can help yourself,
even I can do that myself.
Exactly, right? Like that you're gonna be able to save yourself some money potentially on some of the minor things that.
Well, my tip is get the 4-point and have it done by the pros. That's my tip. Because
I recommend licensed and insured contractors.
Too many times it's not done correctly, and then it's going to fail the 4-point again. But nevertheless, get the 4-point inspection. That will be the most important thing that you do in your Florida home here when you sell it, is get that 4-point inspection and have those repairs done.
No,
and then have a clean point.
Roofs. What do you recommend for roofs that maybe like they're not old, they're not like compromised from an age standpoint, but hey, they just have that. We live in Florida. There's a lot of trees, right? So like they have that kind of. I don't think mold is the right word for
algae growth.
Your 4-point, Leo, is going to show if there's any thing on there that would hinder the roof, right? Like any cracked or broken.
Well, he's talking about like a cosmetic staining, like if you had some leaves on the roof for a couple of months, it's just
underwriters look at that. They're like, oh, well, the roof is worn there. So now, you know what I'm saying?
Would
even though we have
make a note on the 4-point if a seller was getting that?
Not really. I mean, if it's purely cosmetic, we're not going to list it as a defect. it might be shown in some overview photos, but we have a list of defects we're looking for: curling shingles, cupping shingles, cracked shingles, missing shingles, leaks, lots of stuff about leaks. But nothing really about cosmetic discoloration. That's cosmetic. It's got to be. Right. It's got to fit the definition of what's called functional damage, and that's the damage that is causing the shingles to not work as intended or function as intended.
So what can somebody do? Because underwriters, unfortunately, all they can do is look at cosmetic because they're not physically there. So what can somebody do? Obviously, we don't want you climbing on your roof and pressure washing it, so to speak.
No, definitely don't want to pressure wash your roof.
What can somebody do to maybe help with that cosmetic thing? I'm sure that's going to be one of the things too, is make your house pretty.
Well, you can hire a professional to do a low bleach solution and wash your roof off, and it will take care of some of the colors. I mean, that's what they do. Also, kill your plants right outside of your gutters, but you can kill literally 2 bushes with 1 stone.
Oh my gosh, I can't with you. All right, number 2, because it's a short one. Drywall repair. So if you have any little holes in the drywall, any little chips or damages, like, anything from teenagers to like the door stop went missing and the handle went through the door, anything like that, repair those drywall holes before you list the property. And when we come back, the third one, we'll talk about deferred maintenance.
Oh boy.
That's a big one.
Boy.
Yep. We will have some fun with that one, but third one on the list is deferred maintenance, and we'll chat about what that is, some of the things that we see, and just talk about that a little bit more and the other horror.
Text LIST ME to 813-377-2775. LIST ME, 813-377-75. We'll get your house sold.
What? You missed a number.
Welcome home. This is Tampa Home Talk. We're talking all about the things you need to do prior to listing your house,
Can you give out the right phone number and not miss some digits?
Sure. I think it's 813-377-2775.
As you look, it's been the same number.
You harassed me for 6 years about looking at the number every time I say it, and Adam does it without looking and misses a digit, and now you harass him. I'd rather be harassed for looking than not looking.
I like to keep them guessing, folks. Like if all 15 of our listeners have heard us say this before, so they should know the number by now.
We have more than 15.
We have like 50,000.
I know.
Pat, when do we get the Nielsen numbers? When do we get our new Nielsens? This is a sweeps week is in October, November, December?
I don't know. It's probably a Mark question. All right. 813-377-2775. That's our off your number. Tip number 3 for the 7 things to do before you sell your home. Top 7 things.
Deferred
maintenance. Take care of those things. So what do I mean by deferred maintenance? Well, chipped and peeling paint, broken windows, vegetation touching your house, stains from vegetation, overgrowth in your yard, wall damage, misting or burnout light bulbs. And I did a little bit of just reading on this, like why do people have deferred maintenance? And it simply boils down to lack of money most of the time, but lack of money or time. And so
they're not lazy. They just literally, it's between a light bulb and, probably going to work or something.
Well, that's when if you
Maybe
look
not
at,
a light bulb,
the economy, right, how expensive everything is, it makes sense. People are not going to have the money to do some of the maintenance items around the home. But don't forget that this is going to increase the actual cost to make these repairs, right? So, Leo, you can probably chime in on that. What's a simple deferred maintenance item that someone could have easily taken care of, but now it costs a lot to repair it? What comes to mind?
Caulking and sealing around your windows.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Or your sink.
Or, just making sure, like, if you got one of those swivel-type heads where you take the head out on your sink and you can kind of dance around with it to the 2 parts of the sink or your turkey and stuff, that won't come loose over time. So a very easy deferred maintenance is once a week, just kind of retighten it at the head. Just pull it out and just kind of retighten and put it back.
And then the seal, too, right around the sink. That's a big one. We see that one.
Deferred maintenance, if your water bill's through the roof, maybe it's the fact that your toilet flapper needs to be replaced. It's got a little scaling and corrosion on the plastic part of the seal, and it doesn't do that suction, and then you're just leaking water constantly.
And it's not something people see, right? You don't honestly have your head in the back of the tank.
Well, you can hear that one.
Okay.
No, that's one you can hear. Like if you don't sleep to rain sounds, and basically in the middle of the night you hear shh for about 2 minutes and then it stops, your flapper needs to be replaced.
Because it's too long. Got it. Okay.
No, it's not even. If it's happening in the middle of the night when no one's using the bathroom.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tip number 4. Carpet and tile and grout cleaning. Now, I'm going to use this loosely when I say carpet cleaning. A lot of times it's really carpet replacement. Like if you have animals or pets or anything that did a duty on the carpet, replace it with the pad because you're going to have to.
So why would you want carpet at all? I mean, you can put down, if you really want a room to have furry, fuzzy flooring, then you can put down an area rug. So what is the benefit of actually having carpet in the house?
Some people like carpet in the bedrooms.
Why?
I'll tell you, with people like me with plantar fascia, I hate carpet, but my feet love it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but can't you accomplish the same thing from an area rug, and then the rug gets old and you can throw it away? Or
Nope, you can't. You can't, but if you have carpet, you're going to want to clean it. Even the tile and the grout gets dirty, and you'll be able to notice this if, A, maybe it's a different color than when you put it in, but B, look around the areas by the wall compared to the high traffic areas like in the middle. If it's a different color, you can mute yourself, Adam.
Sorry. If it's a different color, you can mute Adam?
Yeah, that too, yeah. If it's a different color, you need to have the grout and tile cleaned.
Yes.
And it'll look nice.
Well, if you're selling your home, shouldn't you get it professionally cleaned, like a deep dive clean after you've sterilized it of anything personally?
That's number 5 on the list.
Oh, it is.
Deep clean
How about
everything.
that? How about them apples?
I didn't even look at the list. I just assumed that she was talking about cleaning this one piece of the house.
It fed right into the next thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
So deep clean your baseboard. That's a big one. If there's dust on your baseboard, we see this so much. People don't have professional cleaners. And
What about dust on the ceiling fan? You ever notice that when you finally stop your ceiling fan after it's been going for 8 months straight?
It's gross.
So the baseboards, the windows, ceiling fans is on there.
How do ceiling fans
Cabinets.
collect that dust? And if the fan's constantly moving, how does the dust not fly off?
I guess it's just the way the air particles stick when it's
Physics.
because it sticks together.
I'm an engineer. I'm asking about the physics.
You should know that. Research it.
An object in motion, the dust shouldn't be able to get on there to settle.
It does. So.
I want to know how.
But clean the fans. People look up and if they see dirty fans, they see cobwebs in the corner. You know, they see dirt anywhere. It just is like, ugh.
What's the best way to clean a fan without wearing whatever's on the fan?
I mean, granted, I don't clean my own fan, but if I did clean my own fan, and I have cleaned my own fan, I take like a wet paper towel and I will swoop all that.
Oh, wet paper towel. That would work.
I have
damp paper towel, swoop
I have one of
all
those
that dust.
extension Swiffer
That gets everywhere.
That's how you wear it.
That gets everywhere.
Yes, but I don't have a choice
ladder.
because it's like,
14-foot
ceilings. It's hard
Damp
to get
paper towel, wipe it down, wipe all that dust. Then you can clean it even with a vacuum, suck all that stuff.
You have a lot of wasted space if you have 14-foot ceilings.
They're hide. They're so
There's
high.
no
Maybe
point.
12. I don't know.
There's no point in having that.
Yeah.
Anything above 10 feet, 8 feet's probably good. Anything above 10 feet, it's like that's just wasted space.
It is. It's impossible to keep it cool.
You're paying to not be able to keep it cool. You're paying these extra fees for just you could use that space for something else.
You're just picking it apart.
That's okay.
All right.
A lot of volume in that house. Yeah.
Number 6 on the list is before I move on.
Well,
windows.
They never do. They do square footage of house. They don't do cubed volume of house.
I know, and they should really when they're talking about AC tonnage because my AC is a little small for the voluminous.
This 3,000 square foot house has 9,000 cubic feet of space.
That's true. That's true. Your HVAC tech should be paying attention to that. So the windows I see get missed often too. When we talk about deep cleaning everything, the windows inside and out.
And make sure they work. Just make sure the windows work. Just give it an old shot at WD-40.
How many people in Florida over the summer, you're not opening your windows, So, I mean, there's probably windows in people's houses that have never even opened.
I think the only windows that get opened on a regular basis is in a kitchen.
Yeah.
As the smoke starts billowing, you're like, open the window.
Or maybe a bedroom when it does get cool, you can get that natural breeze.
Oh, that's nice in that 1 or 2 weeks part of the fall.
Yeah, I'm talking a handful of days.
Yeah,
tops.
you can open your windows and just let that cool breeze in of high humidity, and you wake up all sticky but cold.
Mm-hmm. It's like camping.
Yeah, basically camping within your own bedroom.
Oh, this show is going south quick. I'm sorry to our listeners.
813-377-2775 If you want to sell your house quick, as Katrina just said, 813-377-2775.
Unlike this show, we will take that seriously.
No, so question for you. When you go into some of these houses when you're with the buyer, right, when you're on the buy side, and you see some of these things that haven't been done, do you just walk away from that house? Do you offer less? What is your strategy with a house like that as a buyer's agent?
So, well, first and foremost, I try to say very little, right? So
Indeed.
If I'm walking through a house with a buyer, which is not all that often these days, but I have, and I've showed properties even this week, I try not to say a lot. I explore it with them, but I let them feel it out first and see it and sort of form their own opinion and talk about it and ask questions. And then maybe towards the tail end or a little bit later, I might chime in and give some more information. But I typically am going to let them absorb the home and get their own thoughts and feelings and opinions.
You're just opening the door for them and letting them.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to give him my opinion. I have a guy that he's a past client. I worked with him probably over the last 15 years. We've sold a couple different homes, and he's looking to sell his home now and move into another home that'll be like his final home, retiring. And there was one he went through an open house on, and he's like, I want you to come back. It smells like cigarette smoke. And he's like, well, what does it take to get that out? I'm like, that can be a big deal.
You got to remove all the carpets.
Well, there was no carpet in the house. So we went there and...
it went into the walls. That's bad.
So, well, I'll tell you worse. Like, honestly, and I hit the nail on the head. Like, I didn't know much about this home. I didn't do the open house. I knew the listing agent, and I know real estate, right? I know property. So we walk through, and he's like, what about this? And I'm like, well, the smoke smell hits you in the door the second you walk up to it. We went outside in the lanai by the pool and came back, you could smell it again. So that tells me that we were getting used to it when we were inside. So aside from cleaning all the ductwork and stuff, I told him, I said, yeah, They've painted over nicotine. They didn't clean it. Yeah. And so I think that's bad because it can kind of get trapped in there. And I feel like it may not go away. Because the best way to clean the cigarette smoke, this is what I've told people that have smoked in their home, you have to scrub everything. You have to scrub all the nicotine and everything off the walls completely. Scrub it down, ceiling to floor. And then you have to kills it once it's dried out. And then you have to paint it.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff, you have to think, all of this stuff, drywall, baseboards, wood flooring, carpeting, it's all what's called porous. Porous just means it's full of holes. Smoke and nicotine will get into those holes. I mean, you have to think, in Florida, our biggest issue is rain, so water. But in, like, California, like Southern California, their biggest issue is those forest fires. And that soot and that smoke is what's damaging homes and causing replacement. So if you're smoking in your own home, you've got to compare those homes to the ones in California that have smoke damage.
It's worse, I think.
Well, it's much worse.
Yeah. Well, it's the worst is like when the people try to cover it up with like a Glade something, and it's like I looked at a house one time and it was like cigarette smoke and then a Glade, and it's the worst. It was just awful. The smell. It's kind of like a teenage boy that puts on Axe body spray, so that now they just smell like sweat and Axe body spray. You know,
it's true. So anyway, going back to this house. He asked me what my thoughts were, and I said, you know what? I said, and we spent some time in the home. We talked about it, and I happened to notice a neighbor walking outside. I said, you know what? Talk to the neighbors. They'll tell you everything you want to know, right? So we walked up to the lady, started having like a casual conversation, and I had called this too. I hit the nail right on the head because
the murder-suicide?
No.
Oh.
But you could find that out too, I'm sure. Anyway, the lady... or I guess the listing agent told him when he went through the open house that the prior owner smoked in the home, but that they did not. And I said, there's no way. It's really strong. I said, maybe they haven't smoked in the house since August when they listed it the first time with the last broker. But I feel like this house has definitely been smoked in recently. And I said, I don't buy the story. So we go out, we talk to the neighbor, and the neighbor's like, she basically told us the prior owner didn't smoke. This one does. I'm like, oh, there you go. They hit the nail on the head. Pretty spot on with that one. So it's going to take a while to get that.
I got a follow-up question when we come back on that one.
We'll do that. We'll hit the last 2 points as soon as we come back on the top 7 things to do before you sell your home. 813-377-2775. 377-2775. You can call or text value, and we'll give you a market analysis. 377-2775.
Welcome home, 813-377-2775. Your Tampa Home Talk, your fourth segment, your top of the 9 o'clock hour, or bottom of the 9 o'clock hour.
Bottom.
Yeah. Bottom. We got 2 more things to run through. And if you missed any of the first 5 that we have spent 45 minutes discussing because you just tuned in, because you just got to work or you're just in your car, 813-377-2775. Text the word missed. We'll tell you the 5 that you missed.
Send you the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Question before we dive into the last 2. So let's reverse it. Let's say you're about to take a listing appointment and you walk in, and that is what hits you when you open the door. How do you approach it with those potential clients, I suppose?
Oh yeah. How do you break it to them?
I'm completely honest with them. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot longer to sell a home that has been cigarette smoked in or any smoked in, right? It takes longer to sell it because, and you're not going to get top dollar. I mean, you have to spend top dollar to try to get top dollar. And it's very hard to get rid of because, number one, they have to stop smoking in the home. Right?
Yeah.
That's a habitual.
And all their furniture and everything is going to smell like cigarette smoke. So
anything porous. We already covered what porous is. That's anything that has holes.
Do you see a lot of people that smoke inside?
Not a lot, but the older generation does.
Okay. Because I feel like that
it's always boomer generation or later that smokes inside. Sometimes you'll get like the younger generation that smokes the wacky tobacco inside. But
what about those Juuls and that other stuff? Does that stuff get into all the stuffs?
It does, but not as. I mean, any cigarette or marijuana smell, it's going to get into stuff. Do you think the marijuana smell, do you think that stays in like the cigarette smell? Yeah.
You can smell it?
I mean, I think the cigarette smells the worst. Cigars really bad too. That's up there.
And the marijuana smell just makes people relaxed when they go into your home.
No, it turns off a lot of people that don't smoke. I mean, it's still smoke. A lot of people just do not. If they smell it anywhere near it, like even people that smoke outside have to be cognizant of that and make sure that there's a fan moving it so it doesn't stay there and just smell that area as soon as you walk in.
And if you sit on your balcony with the door wide open and you smoke, thinking the smoke's not going to go inside, you are like the smoking and non-smoking section of the restaurant.
I remember those.
Yeah. Something like
Restaurant still reeks of smoke, but you're not sitting in it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was actually definitively better. Still.
It was better,
but it's still better.
Yeah.
Anyways, number 6. What's on our list here?
Number 6 is professionally declutter. This is a big one. It's really hard for people to remove their own clutter. Very, very hard for them to do this. So we recommend that you have someone professionally help you declutter or at least give you a room-by-room review so they can help you tag or figure out how and where to start.
And now your preference, if I remember correctly from all the years of doing this, is your preference is for the seller to not be living in the home when you go sell it, right?
No. It's not accurate.
Okay.
No, we don't want a vacant home. As a matter of fact, if you move out and your home is vacant, we're going to do what we call a mini stage on it, and that's the final tip on our 7 things is have it staged, right?
While you're living in it?
No. Well, while you're living in it,
that was my question.
You can stage with your own items, but if you completely move out, we're going to bring some things in so that the house has some definition, some character, and a buyer can see where stuff goes.
So what if you walk in and it's like, some people just have a normal, tasteful decor. There's nothing that's out of the normal, but you get some people that they're out in outer space, and that's also where they found their furniture. So what do you do in those
There's times
situations?
that happens, and honestly, for most people and everyone, we tell them when you're starting a move, right, of any sort, even if you're renting, right, and you're starting to move, you want to try to pre-pack and purge as much as possible. Like literally get rid of those items that do not serve you anymore, that you haven't touched or looked at in over a year. And at a minimum, if you're not going to use it between now and the time you move, and you don't want to get rid of it, get it packed up and get it out of the house.
Does a pod take away from the aesthetics of a house if you had one, or is that pretty much just people know you're moving and
we're going to get it shot before the pod shows up.
Mm-hmm.
If it's my preference, I would say pay the few extra dollars to have it moved and stored off site.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather it be in a pod than in the house.
Right. Like, I mean, I feel like it's understandable. Somebody comes up like, oh, well, it's a pod full of their stuff. It's not like a detractor, I would think.
And there's times people don't have the money to even pay for like a portable storage container, right? Like a pod. So they will store it in the garage. And that's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay if people need to do that.
I think people understand, right?
We just tell them, make sure that you don't block anything that the inspectors are going to need to get to. So don't block your electrical panel.
Water
don't
heater.
Block your hot water heater.
Yeah,
don't block your attic access. Don't block anything that people will need to get to when they do an inspection on the property.
Air handler.
So I shouldn't get a pod that's the exact size of my garage free space?
No. I mean, you could. That's ideal, right? If you can get an on-demand portable storage and move it out of the way, that's ideal. If you can store it at a family member's house, if they'll let you, if anyone has an extra bedroom or space in the garage and they'll let you store stuff, that's ideal. But definitely get it pre-packed and out of the way. Think Airbnb, right? Less is more, the minimum amount of stuff you need. We did a show on this, right?
No pictures.
Last out, first in, right? The stuff that you need right away. Coffee pots, eating utensils, that sort of stuff. All right. And then a bonus tip for you guys.
Love bonus tips.
The 7 things to do before you sell your home. And this will be really important, especially as we talk about the numbers and how
and it ties into the first segment. I love it. Circular. It's very circular.
Yes.
Nope, there's no corners. It's just a circle.
Price it correctly.
Price it correctly.
Be really, really, really important. So the way we do it is even when we go to your home, we're going to pull a list of generic comps. And then once you've seen the property, you get a better idea what that one looks like and how it will stack up against the comps. So you can sort of narrow that in a little bit and identify where the price should be on the home. So, and that's really important. And if you remember, Leo, in some of these other ones, like these detailed reports that we do from Florida Realtors, and if you want this, I'll share it with you. Just call or text stats or data to 813-377-2775, 813-377-2775. If you look at this, it'll tell you like inventory by price, and it breaks it down into like hundreds of thousands, and the same goes for closed sales by price. So you can look at this, and the only thing I think is, I should probably give Florida Realtors this feedback, the range is like, let's look at the median information.
Right. Love median. Median's like if you line them all up, you just grab the one in the center.
So this is the bulk of where all the activity is. So 300 to 399, 999, and they've got 400 to 599, 999. All the activity almost equally is in that space. But I can guarantee you there's a lot less activity closer to that 599, 999 than there is in the lower 400. So we need a different little... Like when you figure out where the median is, you need some more breaking points there. No more than $100,000.
Do they ever give you data on price per square foot by area? Because I feel like that would be more useful when it comes to listing.
So many people look at price per square foot, and we do not. As a matter of fact, I tell them that your real estate pro should never, ever, ever price anything based on price per square foot.
What about price per cubic foot?
No.
Yes. Those very important questions.
More information. 813-377-2775. Remember, love where you live, or we're going to fix it. Welcome home.
Love where you live.